So Project Part 1 Hero Type M copper pipe, DESA Ultimate Edition. Yep, that's what we're doing. I'm still not ready to talk about the entire bag of cats. That is to say, what I have to let out of the bag. But we're hinting at it as, as much as we can, as much as I can, without giving it away, because you know I love my secrets. You know I do. But you also know I'm working on something at all times, and you also know that I owe guys gloves, and I owe myself what I've always kind of dreamed of in the process. So this is what we're working toward. So by now you know that for whatever reason I have decided to cast to the four winds my old methodology of doing the Part 1 and the Part 2. The other glove, the other sequel glove installments, models, whatever you want to call it, those guys were copper sheet, and we all know that's the case. So we don't have to deal with pipe on any of the others. But as far as the Part 1 and the Part 2 go, we're going full tilt, and you've seen my hashtag, authentic method or die. That's what it is. So I've been collecting, obviously, since my move, brand new tools, restocking my shop. My girlfriend was, EKL, was kind enough to give me my own full workspace the first time ever. I've done this gig out of garages, on balconies in other countries, on living room floors, you name it. And this is my first shop. So it's kind of fitting that this is going to be my last hurrah in this shop for this particular endeavor, which is to attack this glove, this particular model 1-2 as it looks today. We'll kind of keep it all encompassed in one, as it was originally built, as close to humanly possible as I can physically do it. And for months and months and months I've been gearing up and collecting things and stocking up and stashing things and doing my research, my last bit of research on what I'm calling the Ultimate Edition. And yes, 3 guys are getting these out of the gate. You know who you are. After that, we will talk about what's going to happen down the road. I have commitments to a few guys, not too many left, and these are my core 3 who have been waiting very patiently, who are also really close friends, frankly, and we're treating them as the guinea pigs. It was never part of the agreement. I have other gloves already built, which I've kind of talked about in other videos, that never left the table, that are still ready to be assembled, and I've got blades ground for Part 2s and all that good stuff, and there is a purpose for those as well. So I am working across a couple of different axes. But these, as I said, we're going to show you a little bit about the Part 1 Ultimate Edition KRUEGEAR Part 1 and Part 2 razor glove. We're going to call it the Part 1 Hero. That's what we're focusing on first, although I have Part 2s on that end of the table that are from the sheet that will be going into a couple of clients' hands. This is part of that first round of guys who are going to be the only round of guys getting these. There are 3 slated, you know who you are, and I'm just going to show you really quickly and carefully what's been done. So let's take a look at the blade work first of all. This is the P210 temp, and it is against actually my official DESA 2.0 temp. So they matched up almost exactly, which I was really happy about. The Part 2 is a little bit more ground down, so I always added a little bit more girth to it. But aside from a millimeter here, a millimeter there, it was a pretty close match. But all things being equal, obviously for the Part 1 Hero, I'm using different animals altogether, which are my stash of these bad boys, the P210 replica blades by one of the greatest artists I know, are the only things that will be going on all my future gloves in this series. That is to say, the DESA 2.0 Part 1 Hero Ultimate Editions will only ever be touched by these blades, period. I've got a nice little stash. I've got enough to build as many as I need to, and if I can grab a few more and see where the months and years take me, then I'll just keep stowing them away. But I have enough to start, so that's what's happening there, and they're well worthy of my humble little stamp. But let's take a look at these templates. My index temps this is, I'm going to cant the angle a little bit. I'm not going to show you dead on, but this is my index for my DESA Part 1 and Part 2. This is my Ultimate Edition template, and it matches up exactly to the new template that I cut from this lovely pipe. Yeah, this is pipe. And I really can't even tell you, the edges are so smooth, and it's got such, I'm wondering if that's that. No, really can't tell. I want to give you the sound of the weight. This is mine. This is it. It's just got a heftier weight to it. It's really hard to describe. And it cuts. It's much more forgiving than the sheet, I think it's 0.024. It's much more forgiving. Anyway, so this is my brand new template. This is the first piece of the Ultimate Edition Part 1 Hero for the prototype that's being worked on this week, and we're going to fast track it. I have a lot more work already done on the leather. I have some blade stuff that's been already prefabbed, and it's well underway, but this was the big test, cutting it out of the pipe. And how did I do it? I did the heating method, you guys. You guys, if you don't know it, I'm not going to give it to you now, but I'll tell you basically. You heat this stuff up until it's malleable. You cut it down the middle and flatten it out. I flattened it out, well, a certain way. I didn't necessarily hammer it, but it's perfectly smooth. It's tapped out, and I didn't sand it. I just basically gave it a good, cleaning with a little soap and water. And we'll talk about weathering another time. Ready to go. Getting on to the next down the row. We're going to get the stalls done tonight and cut. And when I tell you this matches perfectly, I was able to match this. I am thrilled. It is. It's been a long day, but it's amazing to actually have this in my hand. And I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take my 3 lengths of pipe that I carried with me from my move. One down to, the smallest, from large, medium to small. I'm going to tap this back into its natural shape of pipe, and then from the natural shape of pipe, we're going to go ahead and pretend that we didn't cut it out, and we're going to shape those shapes into the familiar silos that we know. Hey, so it's Trav. And Trav's doing a little experimenting tonight. So there's some pics on here, but I'm starting to weather the authentic pipe and see what it's capable of in different lighting schemes and what it actually does under the proper applications of heat and the proper gas and all that good stuff to really start playing around with the weathering patterns from Part 1, and it's just gorgeous. It's just fucking beautiful, and there's nothing like holding this stuff really in one's hand to get a real sense of what it actually is and can look like, and how much you want to play with it, and the more I'm gaining control over it, the more fun I'm actually having. But what's nice is, for this process, for getting the weathering down on the test pieces here, this is just me applying what Lou Carlucci did, or as much as we know he did, and seeing what shakes. But what I'll tell you is, compared to how I was doing things before, without these materials, it's a real learning experience. And if you've seen my pictures on Facebook tonight, I've gone ahead and torched this thing even more. The first pics, which I'm probably going to throw in here in a second, were my first, hey, let's see if we can get some reds going and see if we can get the purples, and I just wanted to see the purples and the brazing and all that stuff, and mess didn't matter, and none of that mattered. What matters is I want this stuff to look like the spill out of the bag through the build and in the really great production stills behind the scenes where this pipe was just dirty as fuck. So yeah, it's been a fun evening. I hope you guys are enjoying. I know I am. Fun never ceases to amaze me. Thanks, Wes Craven. You're awesome.